Okay, let's dive right in. Over just the last 12 hours, the conflict between the United States and Iran has absolutely hit a boiling point. From what we're seeing, Iran seems to be getting the upper hand on a few different fronts, and that's leaving the Trump administration in a really tight corner. We're going to start with a truly shocking event that just unfolded in Washington, D.C. So, this is the story that's sending shockwaves all around the globe. While the entire world is watching this military standoff in the Middle East, a completely chaotic and violent scene just erupted right where President Trump was speaking. I want you to just picture the scene. A formal dinner at the Hilton in Washington, right? It's the White House Correspondents Association dinner. And then all of a sudden, the sound of gunfire just rips through the room. Security agents swarm the stage, guns drawn, and President Trump is rushed away from the podium. Just total chaos.
Yeah, this incident just set off absolute mayhem. So let's break down exactly what our source material is reporting about what happened. So President Trump was up there on stage alongside Vice President J.D. Vance and the Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. Out of nowhere, shouts of "gunshot fired" just echo through the room. Agents immediately form this protective circle, this human shield, and they hustle the president right out of there as the entire hotel goes into lockdown. For a few terrifying moments, absolutely nobody knew what was happening.
And that, right there, that is the million-dollar question for investigators. Was this a targeted attack on the president? And, maybe more importantly, could it be linked to the rapidly escalating tensions with Iran? I mean, that possibility just raises the stakes of this entire conflict to a terrifying new level.
So, as all this chaos was unfolding in Washington, the diplomatic path to peace was completely collapsing halfway across the world. Over in Islamabad, any planned negotiations failed before they could even get started.
You know, this was supposed to be a moment for diplomacy. A high-level American delegation was literally on its way to Pakistan for these crucial talks. But in a stunning move, the Iranian delegation just packed up their bags and flew back to Tehran before the Americans' plane even touched down. It was a massive diplomatic defeat for the U.S., a crystal-clear signal that Iran had slammed the door shut on any kind of discussion.
And Iran made its position, well, perfectly clear. They laid out a whole series of non-negotiable conditions. There will be zero discussion on their nuclear program, no talk about uranium enrichment, and absolutely no debate over their missile program. And the big one, they refuse any and all talks until the United States lifts its blockade. The message couldn't be simpler. It's our terms or it's nothing.
And look, this isn't just the government's position. Reports are describing huge demonstrations across Iran, with citizens demanding no talks with the U.S., who they're blaming for the death of their supreme leader, Ali Khamenei. This widespread public anger really solidifies the government's hardline stance, and it pretty much removes any internal pressure they might have to compromise.
So, with the diplomatic door firmly shut and locked, all eyes are now turning to the world's most critical oil choke point, the Strait of Hormuz. This is where military forces are literally staring each other down.
The scale of the American military buildup here is just immense. We're talking about a fleet of 19 warships, now positioned in and around the strait. That's a formidable naval presence by any standard.
But it's not just about the ships. That naval force is being supported by an incredible amount of air power. Somewhere between 200 and 250 fighter jets are circling the area. They've effectively created a wall of American military might.
And the hardware they brought is absolutely top tier. These ships are armed with Tomahawk cruise missiles, advanced radar, and layers of missile defense, including that high-altitude THAAD system. And, of course, the presence of the USS George H.W. Bush aircraft carrier is a very clear signal that the U.S. is preparing for a potential large-scale attack.
But Iran is not just standing by and watching this happen. Far from it. Their navy is actively patrolling the strait, and reports claim they've already stopped and detained around 15 ships that were trying to pass through without authorization. They are absolutely asserting their control over these waters. Now this is no longer just a showdown between Washington and Tehran. This escalating crisis has pulled in other global superpowers, and their positions are putting them in direct opposition to the United States.
Russia has been especially vocal. Their foreign minister, Sergei Lavrov, flat out accused the U.S. of operating outside of international law, claiming their interest is purely about oil and their own economic benefit.
So what you have now is a direct face-off. Russia is just continuing its shipping through Hormuz, and Iran has basically dared the U.S. to try and stop them. China is also getting involved because its critical trade routes are being severely disrupted. So the bottom line is that both Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping are now squarely at odds with Donald Trump over this crisis.
Okay, so with diplomacy completely dead and global powers choosing sides, this whole conflict has reached a really dangerous stalemate. So where on earth does it go from here?
And this stalemate, well, it simply cannot last. The disruption in the Strait of Hormuz is strangling the global oil trade. It's affecting the entire Arab world, it's hitting China and Russia hard, and it's choking off supply to all of South Asia. The economic pressure is becoming unbearable for pretty much everyone.
And here's where Iran's trump card comes into play: naval mines. They have reportedly seeded the entire strait with them. Now, while the mines themselves are cheap, removing them is incredibly expensive and slow. It's estimated to take 6 to 7 months, so Iran has created a very low-cost problem that has a very high-cost solution, effectively holding global trade hostage. So, here we are. The United States has been defeated at the diplomatic table, and now it faces a choice between a humiliating standoff or a potentially devastating war with massive casualties. Iran, meanwhile, seems completely unwilling to bend an inch. The whole world is just watching and waiting. What is the next move?